One of the most interesting what-ifs in American history relates to how Franklin Roosevelt saved America from having, in effect, a pro-communist president in 1945. When Roosevelt was elected to a third term in 1940, he dumped his vice president for the first two terms, John Nance Gardner, who had become very conservative and opposed most of Roosevelt's policies, and instead he put Henry Wallace on the ticket, a dyed-in-the-wool liberal who had been his Secretary of Agriculture and had helped formulate a lot of his farm programs, his subsidies, really invented the idea of paying farmers not to plant, to reduce output, to keep farm prices high and keep agricultural incomes high. A very good Secretary of Agriculture. And he seemed to be fairly reliable. His father had also served in the presidential cabinets under Republicans, and they were together the editors of a very major farm publication that farmers throughout the country subscribed to. As vice president, Wallace clearly showed signs of being a very strong New Dealer and very progressive in his politics. But nobody knew quite how left he'd become. But Roosevelt knew, and a lot of the labor leaders who were fiercely anti-communist knew. And they pressured Roosevelt to drop Wallace as the vice president when he ran for a fourth term in 1944, and to replace him with Harry Truman, who was a senator from Missouri who was much more middle of the road and somewhat more conservative. This became a crucial change of the vice presidency because FDR died in April of 1945, only 3 months after he had begun his fourth term in January of 1945. And on his death, Harry Truman became president and presided over almost 4 years and then a second term of the United States confronting the Soviet Union, stopping it from additional imperialism and land acquisition, and setting up the structure of NATO and the Marshall Plan, and laying the basis for the European Common Market, all of which proved to be bulwarks that ultimately defeated communism. But Henry Wallace, who would have been president, took a very different course. He overtly criticized Truman for his stance against the Soviet Union and said that we should understand that Stalin, a wartime ally, had a legitimate interest in keeping Eastern Europe friendly to the Soviet Union, and said that we were being imperialist ourselves and overly paranoid in confronting the Russians, and that we were setting the stage for World War III. He was very sharply critical of America's role at that point, and then ran for president in 1948 against Truman as the nominee of the Progressive Party, a new political party that he formed. And increasingly it became clear that communists were up and down and all over that political party, dominating the movement. And he really came to be seen, I think correctly, as a stooge of the communists. In fact, a lot of the current labor movement was formed in reaction to the labor unions that had supported Wallace by the unions that had dumped him and gone with Harry Truman instead. It could have gone either way. It was a very minor decision at the time, seemingly offhand of Roosevelt to drop Wallace and put on Truman. But it made such an incredible difference in history. Thanks for watching.